Hey there, movie lovers. I'm Dina, and let me tell you, last night I couldn't sleep. So I decided to dive into the deep, dark corners of the internet to find something spooky. And boy, did I find a gem. Or a nightmare. I'm still not sure. Anyway, I'm so excited to share this wild ride with you guys. Grab your popcorn, lock your doors, and let's get into it. The movie kicks off by introducing us to a female security guard named Brenda. While on the night shift, Brenda falls asleep and is jolted awake by a phone call from her mother, but Brenda just ignores it. And it doesn't take long before Brenda gets scolded by her fellow security guard because, well, sleeping on the job is a big no-no. Her friend tells Brenda to just go home and rest, saying he'll cover for her that night. On the drive home in her car, Brenda looks absolutely exhausted and sleepy, probably from a major lack of shut-eye. Brenda tries to turn on her car radio just to stay awake. And get this, the radio station she's listening to is playing a religious sermon.
Just Radio Dios.
Right after that, a message pops up from her mother. It seems Brenda isn't exactly best friends forever with her mom and dad. But Brenda ignores the message and keeps driving, even though she's basically a zombie behind the wheel. Suddenly, because she's not in peak condition, she loses focus and accidentally hits something. Smash! The windshield shatters. It turns out Brenda hit a man in a black hoodie who was crossing the road that night. Brenda, finally snapping awake, gets out of her car to check what she just hit. She immediately calls emergency services or the police, but shortly after the call starts, Brenda changes her mind, cancels the call, and flees the scene without taking any responsibility. Arriving home, Brenda checks her phone and sees another message from her mom, telling her to call back. Again, Brenda ignores it and decides to sleep. But then, she gets a call from her security company vendor for tomorrow's job. She's being reassigned to guard a different location. The next morning, Brenda goes through her usual routine, light exercise, and a shower. Then, at night, she gets ready to head to the work location they agreed on last night. At her new job, Brenda is replacing an old man. Let's just call him Eddie. And the place she's working? It's a special hospital for storing corpses, people who died at the hospital or unidentified accident victims. Spooky, right? Eddie asks Brenda what she's been up to, and Brenda says she's studying law. Why? Because she wants to change her fate! After that chat, Eddie explains the workflow to Brenda, all the things she needs to do. This includes patrolling the morgue and making sure the windows are closed, because they're a bit broken and sometimes fly open on their own, letting cats crawl in.
Brenda, asómate. Revisa de vez en cuando este alambre que no se afloje.
Eddie mentions that inside that room, there's a body of a man who just died from a hit and run. Before leaving, Eddie leaves a firearm just for Brenda to protect herself if anything weird happens. He warns Brenda not to do anything stupid and to keep the gun in a drawer that must always be locked. And then, Eddie leaves Brenda all alone. After Eddie leaves, Brenda goes to the toilet and decides to make some black coffee to stay awake. Her mom calls again, and Brenda actually chats with her for a bit. But suddenly, something strange happens, and Brenda abruptly ends the call.
Tengo que ir a dar el rondín. Ahorita te llamo, ¿ok?
No me vas a llamar.
After patrolling to make sure everything is safe, Brenda goes back to her desk and checks the drawer to make sure the gun is still there. Suddenly, the lights start flickering, making Brenda uneasy. She goes to check it out. She decides to enter the morgue where the hit-and-run victim is kept. There, she finds the window Eddie closed is wide open again, so Brenda tries to shut it. Brenda goes back to her desk to study for her law degree, but since she's a total sleepyhead, she drifts off. She wakes up when her coffee bottle falls and rolls away. And as she wakes up, she suddenly starts searching for information about the punishment for hit-and-run drivers. I wonder why. But suddenly, the hallway lights go pitch black. Wait, it was all a dream. Brenda wakes up and goes back to the morgue to double check. Nothing is there. She goes back to her desk, but on the CCTV monitor, she sees a man in a black hoodie standing still outside the building. Brenda feels super uncomfortable, grabs her gun, and goes outside to tell the creepy guy to beat it.
¡No puede estar aquí! ¡Señor! ¡Dese la vuelta! ¡No puede estar aquí, por favor! ¡Retírese!
Tú no sabes quién soy. Está bien, pues tú mandas.
¡Hey!
Ya pues. Ahí voy.
After chasing the guy away, Brenda gets a message from Carlos, her boyfriend. They're just chatting, and Carlos asks Brenda to show him the gun. But as she poses for a photo, bam! A tall, thin creature is standing right behind her. After that, Brenda sees the man in the black hoodie on the CCTV again, but this time, he's inside the hallway. Brenda decides to chase him. Brenda goes back to the hit-and-run victim's room and, surprise, surprise, the body is gone. Brenda ends up locked inside the morgue. In a total panic, Brenda tries to call emergency services, but there's no signal. The only person she can reach is her mom. Brenda begs her mom to call for help. But the call gets cut off, and then everything goes crazy.
Necesito que me hagas un favor urgente, mamá. Mamá, a ver, escúchame.
After a bunch of chaos, Brenda tries calling emergency services again. It connects, but the person who picks up is the mysterious man. He asks her a weird question. Do you read the Bible or anything like it? Brenda says no. She hasn't read it in a long time. The man slowly approaches and says something muffled and terrifying. Brenda wakes up again at her desk holding a key, but the terror continues. Lights flickering, objects moving on their own, like something is pushing them. She goes back to the morgue and is horrified to see her own lifeless body lying on the gurney. Yep, Brenda wakes up again at her desk, but this time with a wound on her forehead. She rushes to escape the building, but when she opens the door to run out, she ends up right back in the morgue. This time, there are even more astral creatures trying to hurt her. Frustrated by the terror, she tries to attack the creatures, but it's useless. Strange things keep happening in a night that feels like it'll never end. The mysterious man appears again and reads a Bible verse. He tells Brenda that if she wants to be free, she has to end her own life, and he hands her a gun. But Brenda doesn't do it. Instead, she starts shooting at the illusory creatures coming from everywhere. Finally, morning comes. Brenda is woken up by the morning shift security guard. Brenda decides to leave and tells her insurance and vendor that she was involved in a hit and run.
Por favor, tía.
Then, for some reason, time rewinds. It shows the man in the black hoodie leaving the morgue, waving to Eddie, and walking out to the street. A moment later, we see the scene where he gets hit by Brenda's car again. And the movie ends. So that's the review for the movie Tormento, released back in 2025. It's a horror thriller genre. Even though it's low budget, it's actually pretty cool. It's only 60 minutes long with very little dialogue and a focus on eerie horror music. You guys should definitely watch it alone to feel the vibe. The movie has an IMDb rating of 5.1 out of 10, with over 29,000 viewers, and as of this video, it's reached 33,000. Honestly, I don't fully get what this confusing movie was trying to say. Why? Because the ending just ends. It just loops back. But in my personal opinion, this is a psychological horror. It plays with the audience's fear and the guilt of the mistakes we make, the ones we're too afraid to admit. So far, so good, right? Like if you enjoyed this and subscribe if you want to follow more movie recaps. I'm Dina, and I'm heading out. Thanks for watching. Adios. Bye-bye.